Hey guys, I did a recording earlier on my car and an alarm went off halfway through my recording. I forgot about it and I flipped it off and I didn't realize it turned my audio off. So the rest of the video, my audio wasn't running. So you just see me flapping my jaw without saying anything. So I thought, okay, you know what? Let me just go ahead and do this better though, because now I got time. So a lot of frequently asked questions came in. Awesome. Let's go through them. One of them, as you know, we have 50 positions sitting out there. Somebody said, what if all the positions don't get taken? What happens to our money and our investment? Piece of cake. We're just simply going to start smaller. Instead of starting with like 100 sites, we'll start with 50. Instead of starting with 4 additional servers, we'll start with 2. We'll just scale it down a bit to kick it off. We don't need all of this just to scrape the bottom of the barrel. Doing this large like this is giving us a huge step in. Yeah, and really, I'm doing it to give as many of you as possible the benefit of getting a lot of recurring income from this model if you want to get involved in this particular thing, this particular channel. The dispatch center owners, do they know we're getting ready to send them leads? Somebody actually asked. This is a good question. Yes, they know full well. They were explaining to me how they do it, what they're doing, and how I can get involved. And that's awesome. So we're going to crowdfund this and push it forward. But yes, they have been doing this for 18 months now with a number of guys. So they are totally, their system is solid. I remember that when they were looking at perhaps having us build the system, I remember showing you guys some of those screenshots where we were talking numbers and parts of the system that they had before. This is going back 3 years, okay? So they wound up getting that system built when the time came through somebody, right? So it's built, but I remember exactly what it was for. It was for being able to do that kind of a thing internally. They just now do it and share the leads with everyone else. Their payout to us, good question. Their payout to us is between 30 and 50% depending on volume. Totally awesome. So take their profit, cut 30 to 50% depending on volume. Okay. It's really, really nice. What about some realistic math? Okay, let's take a look at that. There are 250,000 locksmith calls a day in the US. Okay. And if we divide that by about 2,000 metro areas, just mainstream, some big cities surrounded by a bunch of smaller ones, we get about 125 calls within each metro area, right? Some combination of a large city and a bunch of smaller towns that surround it. There's like 125 calls in that stack. Okay. The average charge on a bill is about $158. Okay. It's a nationwide average for locksmith charge. And the average profit is 100 out of that. Okay. Even more actually. And I know that because I met a real live locksmith and I got to ask him some questions and it was on the job. And I will tell you about it shortly. Pretty cool. It's in my list. It's down further. So if the average profit's 100, okay, then the average split is 50%. Dispatcher gets about 50 bucks a call. So they would be giving us about 25 bucks a call for good volume. Okay. Our first goal, to get 5% of the traffic from 20 metro areas. We'll choose 20 big cities with surrounding smaller cities, and we'll go after 5% of the traffic in those areas. So we're going to use up to 100 locksmith websites to kick that off. Now think about that. 20 metro areas is modest. That means out of 2,000 metro areas, this accounts for 1%. Okay? 1% of the exposure. And we are only looking for 5% of the traffic out of that 1% because it's the first goal. Okay? That's just 5% of just 1% of the actual market. It's a really modest goal. But that is how we can draw our foot in the sand and say, this is what we're trying to achieve. That's our first goal. So let's be really, really clear on it. All right. By the way, remember, we have done thousands of locksmith sites. We know how this market works. So 5% of 125 calls per metro area times 20 metro areas is about 125 calls a day. That's our first goal. Reach about 125 calls into the dispatch center every day as an average. At 25 bucks a call profit to us, that means that we're taking in 3,125 a day. House, that's us. We keep, as a whole unit of all of us working together internally, we keep 20%. All of our website guys and programmers and everyone involved, the WI guys for website installer, the template guys, everything, 20%. The rest is paid out. That's the 80%. All the positions, the 50 positions, all 50, okay, are the same size, $1,000 each. So they split 80% evenly. That means 80% of 3,125 is 2,500 a day. So each of those 50 positions would be getting about 50 a day. Okay, 50 a day around the clock. Okay, this includes weekends for sure and holidays. Matter of fact, there are more chances to be locked out of your car on the weekend than holidays. So 50 bucks a day for 30 days in the month means 1,500 a month recurring revenue per position you bought. Okay, so you paid one time to get a position. Get as many as you wish. They get equal treatment. So, as an example, 3,000 paid once becomes an average 4,500 a month recurring revenue return. Very modest goals. Okay. Our second goal, to triple the size and the payout of this model. We'll talk about the second goal when we get to it. Who do you think is going to have the first swing at investing into any second goal or into any future expansions? The guys who invest in the first ones in this set. Now, there are going to be a lot of you asking, does that mean that's where everything's moving? The answer is no, it's not. Don't worry about it. We will get to it down here in these notes. So, how long will it take to start getting traffic to the Locksmith website? It's totally awesome and fair question, right? Here's the thing, and you'll understand this immediately. As soon as we get the organics up, we get backlinks in there. We're going to get backlinks in from the sites that affect visibility for Locksmith websites. I don't know how many of you guys have heard of 411.com, for example. It's a huge supplier. So if you do a search for some locksmith keywords, you tend to see 411.com says something like, find, click here for the best, 15 locksmiths in your area, or find a locksmith in your area, something like that, and you tend to click, and it looks very specialized. All right, so that's one source. Yellow Pages does the same thing. As a matter of fact, everyone does, right? Find the top 30 locksmiths in your area. You click, it shows you 30 results in your area, right? I had somebody say, don't you have to pay to put your stuff in Yellow Pages? Not if you're putting up individual listings, you don't. You only pay when you pay for huge mass expansion. We're not going to do that. We're going to do it step by step, but that's exactly why we're getting all this done. Okay, so backlinks means immediate traffic because you're getting listed in the places that Google's already showing on the front page. Google's showing Yellow Pages on the front page. Google's showing 411 on the front page for whatever the searches are. And lots of other places where these leads come in from. And so that's where we want to go and list our links, right? By the way, I've got the stack counter tracking on the website. So I know which sources are getting leads. I know where we go to put our leads and make them the fresh leads at the top of the pages. Okay, organic. Then that gets traffic soon after because the websites start to rank. Now, ads, right? Now, finally, they're much more lucrative since calls do not go to voicemail or get mishandled. I had somebody ask, what's the problem with the call going to voicemail? Here it is. If I'm looking for a locksmith and I see an ad word and I click on it, somebody just spent 20 bucks. If I get a voicemail, I don't leave a message. I hang up. I go back to the search. I click on the next guy down, right? So that's the problem. 20 bucks spent with nothing. That's the problem with unprofessional behavior on the phone, or guys who just don't really care and don't want to take the business on. Staticky calls from guys on strange headgear in their truck. And calls going to voicemails, right? You cannot afford to lose any calls that way. If you're paying 20 bucks a click for a good call, and a locksmith agrees to pay 30 bucks a click, and then the first call goes to him, that would be great. But what if the second call goes to his voicemail? He's going to say, well, I didn't hear anything on my voicemail, so I'm not going to pay for that call. But we spent 40 bucks, right? Trying to get 30. We wanted to get 60, he says no, so we get 30. Well, there's a problem with calls going to voicemail, right? No one likes bots answering the phone. No one likes voicemail answering the phone, right? That's why going through a dispatch center is a much better idea. Okay, how many calls can the locksmith dispatchers handle per day? Let's think about this. 175 guys sitting on the first shift, more or less, and 175 guys sitting on the second shift, more or less. That's about 350. Then we have another 50 on the night crew. Calls coming around the clock. Now, if we think that 175 guys are getting like 5 minute, it takes like 5 minutes to take the call in and turn it over, right? So then they can handle like 12 calls an hour. Say they can handle 10. And that's 1,750 calls an hour for the first, 16 hours of the day. So yeah, these guys can handle 30 to 40,000 calls a day. If they're getting busy enough to handle more, they're going to hire some more people and train them really quick. That's like an abyss for us. I mean, we can shovel everything we can take in through that one channel. We are not going to max it out. Okay. They can handle everything we can throw at them. That's totally, totally awesome. We don't have to find a guy to buy the leads in every different city that we can swing. These guys will buy the leads for the whole nation all at once. Okay. Anything we can throw at them for any cities in the nation. They already have the partnerships done. Totally awesome. All right. Is everything that we've been doing up till now outmoded? No. This Locksmith channel is its very own channel. It just happened to fall into our lap. We weren't even building for it. What are we doing? We're doing blitz for all these different, for all the co-ops, okay, for the co-ops, for auto towing, distressed homes, whatever it is across the nation. Everything that we've been building the co-ops for, we're converting to blitz. Guess what we're going to do, though? We're going to run all these through dispatch centers because that cuts all of our time and effort down for everything that ever went wrong. We realize that there's sort of a dichotomy, right? A split, a bisecting split right here. Us and the lawyers, locksmiths, and that just set the stage. In the old days, we thought we should own the entire thing, including build our own dispatch center. But we found that's a lot of work. And really, there are a lot of unprofessional guys out there. We had no idea. Now, on the other hand, they thought we should do the whole dispatching center invoicing system and run all the websites. But then they realized, why are they trying to keep up 7,000 websites for SEO and everything? Let other people do it. That way they don't have to pay people to do it who kind of don't care about it, but they'll let people do it who do care about it. Why? Because these guys are getting the leads in to these guys, and these guys do their core competence and let these guys do their core competence and just split the money. It's a better arrangement. They don't have the headache of stuff they don't really know or want to keep up, certainly at that level, 7,000 websites. Even if you can update each website instantly, you have to think through a strategy for 7,000 websites, right? That's hard. It's like, what do I do with each of them? They've been thrown out there in slightly different ways. So what am I supposed to do with each of them? That's the reason for this dichotomy where we say, okay, let's focus on our part, hand it to guys who will do their part well. By the way, yes, we can contractually obligate dispatch centers to be fair, right? When we join, we say, you will give us the phone numbers for our websites. We'll do the websites. You give us the phone numbers. We need access to the call recordings, and you need to be transparent with invoicing or payment receipts. If you're caught lying, we can sue you. Very simple, right? Don't try to hide, the money we're making you, or we can sue you. Very simple. And even if we weren't suing them, what happens? As we get this thing up, if we have any issue with one dispatcher, there are more dispatchers. So we can just shift our business to a guy who will play fair because he doesn't want to lose it. He wants to gain it and not lose it. Think about it this way too. You got competitor A and competitor B. The market is as is, right? Whatever channels. If a guy drops sending leads to one competitor, that's part of the seesaw effect. But then he's also going to add those leads to a different competitor. Oh man, then the shift in balance between the two competitors is massive. That's why competitors don't want to screw around at all. They don't want to mess around with money. They don't want to peeve you off. They don't want you feeling undercut or harmed in any way because they don't want you to leave. Okay, so we are going to come back around to all the other industries. It just so happens that we have a buyer now for all the locksmith leads we can do. So we're going to do that first, get that going. Then we're going to show that model to all the other industries, right? And start feeding them with the same model, and they're going to feed us back. So we're going to cover everyone anyway. All right. Let me see. What are the biggest advantages of joining this? Somebody was saying, because it's very specific. Okay, Getting a share of 80% of the profits paid evenly across the positions. What that means is awesome. It means every time we get the invoices, we all can sit down and independently do the math, and everyone knows what they're supposed to make. And the numbers are always the same. We all know the exact same numbers. There's no confusion about who gets paid what. It's just obvious. As soon as you see the invoices for the week or the month, we'll figure it out. How it is they do payouts, I haven't asked. But who cares? It's a detail. We'll figure it out. As long as we make it work, we're all going to get rich. So whatever the invoices are, then everyone knows 20% goes to house. Whatever's 80% left gets paid evenly across the 50 positions. So however many you own, right, you get your share. All right, there's that. That's a big deal. It's a really, really obvious. Now, you'll get to listen to the recorded calls. And that's awesome. I mean, you will actually hear dispatch center people pick up the phone and answer the calls. Okay? Not my people, not your people, my clients' people, right? And that's cool. Now what? You'll get to see the invoices. We will all naturally calculate the same numbers for the payouts. That's what I was saying. Okay. Now what? Aha. Some guys were asking. We've taken a lot of steps forward through like the last 2 years, say, right? And set many things down along the way. Why is this different? Great. Here's the point. Everything we did was not actually abandoning anything that came before it. Right back to the directories. Think about it this way. Here's a directory full of locksmith sites, right? Lots and lots of them. You know, if I were to choose something like commercial locksmith and just say, show me everything, you know, you got 6,307 entries, right? And that's insane, isn't it? And then when you see it's Abington, 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 okay, fine. So here's one company, here's another. But then you're like, wow, man, this is different than that, it's different than that, it's different than that. But if you go far enough, you're going to actually see same companies, and you might wonder what they are that makes them different. Yeah, the difference is where they're located, okay, and therefore their phone number. So there you have it, right? These are just nationwide websites, you know. Can we do that? Yes, absolutely. Can we take our websites and decide how many metro areas we really want to go after? Yeah, absolutely. We can do anything we want. With Blitz, we have extreme speed and control over all the websites. That's why this is going to be easier. It's going to be easier for us to control all the websites that we generate, make sure to SEO them perfectly, than it ever could have been for these guys to do with the way we ran things 3 years ago. Okay? That's what's awesome. So we know everything about what made that happen 3 years ago because we built it, but we know what makes it dramatically faster now. And even this whole directory concept. Some of you guys have directories for law. Some of you guys have directories for towing. We're going to be putting all the pages for all our websites into our directories. Okay? Your directories. How's that? That's pretty cool, right? So anything you want to get into, we can make use of the tools we have to just make it larger. Okay? Now what? I want to keep this up. I don't want it to get too long, but I want to keep it up. Okay, so what did we do the directory for initially? To create to get thousands of companies to want to come join for profits. Then what? We created websites to get thousands of companies, you know, to try to teach each one to buy from us, right? And then what? We went into AdWords to try to get the leads faster for companies that were signing up. So we were trying to reach thousands of companies and get them to join individually, right? And try to get each guy worked into the program, which turned into we had to vet everyone, right? So when people are saying, why is this different? You'll start to realize it. I mean, why do we even create website installer? Because if you can't sell leads to a pest control guy really easily, sell him a website instead. If he doesn't act well enough on the phone, or if the calls go to voicemail and you still want to make money on him, sell him a website, right? Still, we're after thousands and thousands of sales. What happened now? Why is this different? We have a dispatch center that will take care of all the incoming calls. The moment somebody calls the phone number, we are out of the loop. That's on them. So all we have to do is get people to call, and that's it. Then they will handle those calls professionally to get the deals through and get the invoices generated and get us paid our share for our leads. And they will be happy if we keep expanding that and driving them more, and they can handle everything we can give them. And we can do this for all the industries we want. Okay? Totally a big deal. Is this dispatch model going to be our standard approach now? What do you think? Yeah, because this means we already have thousands of guys who already agreed to pay us a percentage for the entire industry nationwide. And the AdWords calls now, where we talked about 20 bucks per call, maybe to a pest control guy, and the first one's a good one, but the next one goes to voicemail, that won't happen anymore. Every call that gets answered, that's a good lead, right? Every call that gets assigned to anyone and generates some revenue. That's it, man. So as long as we set our AdWords goals where we want them, and then those calls come in nationwide, they will answer the phone perfectly every time. A human will answer the call and get that thing sent where it needs to go. Totally amazing and awesome. How do you get started? You would go into gettrialleads.com/LPE and sign up there. Then you'll go to gettrialleads.com/admin and log in there as an LPE owner. So when you sign up, it will give you, this gives you password, right? So then when you sign up, you will log in here with your password and your email address, okay? Now, you can, when you log in, you can click that link to choose your positions. So first, go here to sign up. That's gettrialleads.com/LPE. For those of you who've been around long enough, you know what that's all about. Landing page expansion program, LPE. Then log in as an admin. You're an admin now. Don't ask me why. Gettrialleads.com/admin, and you have choice for how to log in. There's a drop-down box. Log in as an LPE owner, okay, with your email address and your password. And then you can click here to choose your one or more positions that you're going to want to get. Okay. What we'll do next is, okay, for those of you like, what comes next for the guys is we get this thing rolling and it starts producing. Then we're going to be saying, hey, who wants to expand into more? Let's do more locksmith websites, and let's also find dispatchers for the other co-op websites and industries that we already have. Totally awesome, right? That's cool, isn't it? Now, I want to be crystal clear on this. Dispatch center advantages, okay? This is awesome, right? We don't have to call businesses to try to get them to listen to us. We don't have to negotiate deals with each business that's worth it to us. We don't have to risk losing sales to voicemails just because no one leaves messages on voicemails. They'll call someone else. We don't risk losing sales to staticky phone calls. We don't risk losing sales to unprofessional answers. We don't have to listen to the calls to figure out which are good. We don't have to create reports to send each of thousands of companies. We don't have to send invoices to thousands of companies. We don't have to discuss whether certain calls were worth the charge or not. We don't have to worry that they don't pay us on time. We're going to get paid on time anyway. We don't have to hound them for payments, especially if we're still sending them AdWords or leads by AdWords, right? They're going to say, hey, we got to stop sending you leads by AdWords. We got to quit paying for AdWords because you're behind on your payments. And they go, if you quit paying for my AdWords, I won't get any sales, and then I can't pay you anything. I can't catch up. And you're like, well, do we kill the AdWords or not for this guy and accept the loss or not? We don't need to get into that. The dispatch center will pay us whether they get paid or not. They're big enough they can absorb it and switch to a new locksmith in a given area if there's a problem. Okay. All calls will be handled immediately. Beautiful. All calls will be professionally handled. Beautiful. No calls at all go to voicemail 24/7. Beautiful. Everything that was ever wrong with anything we did building here and every new system we built was to solve a problem. We did the directories to solve the problem of not getting it far enough. We did the websites to solve the problems of the websites being too slow to pump out, or to get organic traffic. We got into the AdWords to get into the solve the problem of organizing all that. We created Get Trial Leads. Then we created the vetting process to solve the problem of all professional guys. We created the vetting process. To solve the problems of guys not vetting well, we created Website Installer with the intention to sell them websites. To be able to show them the websites and their image better for robotexting purposes, we created the Blitz. And then because of the Blitz, we get to do everything professionally. And then when I went to show that to my first dispatch center, they said, Dave, why are you losing so much money selling us websites one time? Why are you making recurring income? Make those websites for you and make recurring income. And that just gave me the realization. I went back and looked at StatHunter. I'm going to show you in a minute. I went back and looked at StatHunter and I realized their websites are still totally awesome, even though they haven't touched them in like 18 months now. I'll explain that in a minute. Okay. All calls are recorded. You can listen to them. All invoices are shared with us. We can review the payouts that we're going to get. We're paid whether the servicing locksmith pays the dispatch center or not. Since all payouts are based on a percentage of the profit, no one has any need to worry. It's not like they're paying per lead and hoping or worried that the leads aren't going to be any good, or paying for voicemails and hoping that they can answer more of the calls. Since all payouts are based on a percentage of profit, it's completely sustainable. Okay, no one will say this is getting too expensive for me. It would be if they were paying per call and the calls weren't panning out, then it's getting too expensive for them. But if it's a percentage of profit generated, it's completely sustainable. Totally awesome. And it's already been done for 18 months. It's running in this way. These guys have been running this business for years, like 7 years plus. This bit that we're doing right now with them, the fact that they open their doors to other leads, sending them leads, that is 18 months old. And that is already working well. We're just joining. We're the new kids on the block. But we're the new kids walking in with the biggest baseball bat in the game. Totally cool. Any average we choose to do can be nationwide based on exact keywords, right? Exact keyword matching, and set to a max CPC that we choose, right? And all the calls from the AdWords will be handled professionally. No voicemails or static or unprofessional behavior. That's gorgeous, okay? This is something we can expand constantly. If they actually take in more calls than they can handle, they'll get more manpower. Okay? I love it and you will also, right? Now, 2 things I want to show you. I met a real life locksmith on the job and we learned a ton from this Free Willy story, so let me share it real quick. The other day, this just happened. I think it was 2 days ago, literally yesterday it might have been. And this was exciting. As a matter of fact, it was yesterday. I cannot believe it. It was yesterday. Here's what happened. I was sitting at home and a call came in from a neighbor's kid. Someone on the other side of the block called in and said frantically, hey, I got to run off to school. But my neighbor here, she's Chinese. She doesn't speak English very well. She managed to lock her child in her car. His name is William. And she doesn't know what to do at all. She literally locked him in the car. And this was a newer car, a 2013 Ford, Ford Escape SEL, I think. So a nice, pretty new car. I would have thought new cars, you can't lock your keys in them. Apparently there are a ton of cars you can lock your keys in that are pretty modern. I had no idea. And so I went over. And sure enough, she didn't have anyone to turn to. She was trying to reach her husband. He works at Microsoft. Basically, all my neighbors work either at Microsoft or Expedia or Amazon, or there are a few who work elsewhere. It turned out he was in a meeting later for like an hour and a half, and he couldn't answer the phone. Well, her child was locked in the car, about I think a year and a half, maybe 2 years old. Locked in its car seat so it was safe, and it was in the shade. It was inside the garage, okay? She had come home, parked normally, opened the door, grabbed some groceries first, and didn't think about it. She walked out, she pushed the door shut behind her. Her cell phone and her keys were in the passenger seat. Her child was on the opposite side, behind the driver's seat, locked in his child's seat. And she happened to lock him in the car, just totally locked him in the car. There was no crevice to get into. You couldn't come in the back, couldn't come in the sunroof, nothing. And she didn't know what to do. So I got there, and the first thing I thought in the end was, okay, well, the child's safe, not overheating, and cars are not airtight, so it's okay that way. And because the child's locked in his child seat, he can't crawl around and do something harmful inside the car or fall off a seat and harm himself or start eating something he shouldn't. He can't do anything wrong. So the child was, screaming, yelling, crying, mainly crying, but no harm. Okay, not overheating or anything. So we called the police. They said call a locksmith. He said call a locksmith. So we said, all right. I would have called through my people, but their job is to try to get the job assigned wherever they can. So I just started looking for a local locksmith real fast, a local locksmith, and I had to call 5. Everybody was out of the area like 20 to 25 minutes away. They were all busy on jobs. All of the guys in all their shops were busy on jobs. And one guy, as I kept going back and forth, one started my way and another started my way. And at one point, I was back and forth between them in my text going, here's the exact address. How close are you? The one guy responded, said 25 minutes. The other guy responded, said 20. And I said to the first guy, look, the other guy's closer. I'm going to try to go with him first. I'll let you know if I need you. Thank you. And I went with the first guy, just biting our nails and checking in with him. He's like, yes, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And he did. And this is what blew my mind. I got to see a locksmith in action. We've done thousands of websites for locksmiths, never met them till yesterday. So we were standing in the driveway. The guy comes flying by in his truck. No markings on the truck, just some white truck, minivan. And he kind of goes by, and then he realizes he shot past, so he backs up like 5 houses length, just right in the middle of the road, parks the car in the middle of the road. There's no traffic, all right? You could get around him, but he just parked. And he ran out, opened the side door, grabbed a couple of things, and ran up to the car. Literally, like right past us, went right to the car, looked in, saw the baby, saw what was going on, grabbed up some plastic strip. I never saw this before. It was like a pad. He sort of fit it into the driver's door jamb, and he started pumping it, and it pumped air pressure slightly between the door and the frame. It pumped it enough that there was a bit of room. Then he grabbed this plastic sheet and worked it in with another tool, and it was like a tunnel, just plastic, so that it wouldn't scratch the door. Then he jogged back and got a certain length handle, jogged up or whatever, and he put this metal, just long strip right through the plastic piece and reached the door handle with it and popped it, and the door popped open just like that. Guy was done in 3 minutes. No possible way he could have damaged the door because the tools he was using were soft, Amazing. And so he got the door open in like 3 minutes. He was done with his job. And he asked the lady, would you like a key? I can cut you a key now. And we're like, how much? And she held up the transponder style key, and it's like a laser cut key with the transponder style, all this stuff. And he goes, that'll be $195. And she goes, oh, I guess I'll need that. I'd already been talking to her about a spare key. He goes, well, I can just cut you the metal, like if he makes this version of a key, right? He goes, I can do that for $35. So he had an instant drop, right? And she thought about it, and I said, well, we could go to Home Depot and get one. He goes, no, because it's a laser cut key. They don't do that at Home Depot. And I thought, okay. And I just told her, all right, let him make a key. And she said, okay. And so he ran over and looked up the information, and on his computer, he's connected to some online system. And he cut her a key, laser cut key, out of the back of his truck in like 5 minutes. Totally done. Okay. And so he handed it, well, he ran up and checked in the door. Everything worked. He said, duct tape it to the back of your license plate, front end or back end, something like that, just where you know where it is. And then he said, okay, it's like, okay, we're done here. How much is the bill? He goes, that'll be $204 or $208 or whatever the change was. And I remember thinking, the guy was there 10 minutes. He cut a key from his own metal. Other than that, he used his own tools for a few, like literally 3 minutes. So what are the expenses? Well, his time, his food, I guess. Gas. He had to drive quite a bit. He drove in from Seattle, so he went through maybe 1/8 of a tank of gas. Okay. He cut a key, so there was some wear and tear on the cutting machine plus the key. He probably pays healthy monthly or whatever it is for that online system to work, so he can know every kind of car and how to cut a key for every kind of car just instantly from his travels. Beyond that, his business is whatever it is. I asked him, he didn't have a website. He got his leads from two sources: word of mouth and a dispatch center. Why the dispatch center? He doesn't know anything about websites. He knows about keys. He gets his leads from a dispatch center, and he made 200 something minus his expenses. Must have been 30 bucks, maybe 170 bucks profit in 10 minutes, minus whatever, split he does to other guys for that profit. Okay. I don't know what to tell you. And I asked him a few questions. I said, man, I was really surprised how hard it was to get a locksmith. I had to call 5 because they were all busy and they were far away. And he goes, yeah, it's tough to get a good locksmith. And I heard it out of his mouth and thought, you're right. And I didn't understand the value of his key cutting service until I realized in 5 minutes he printed it right there. We went nowhere. And he had it for us right like that for 35 bucks. Totally worth it. No possible damage to the car, but I asked him, it's like, how do you normally work? He goes, I'm usually busy from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. He goes, some jobs are bigger, some are smaller. I was really surprised. I said, about how many jobs do you normally do a day? He goes, about 10. Some are bigger, some are, like this was a really fast one, right? Some take a lot more keys and locks and who knows what. And I was like, really? I said, so you deal with kind of all kinds of things, transponder key. He dealt with a transponder key, right? That was a transponder key. Could have programmed it for her if she wanted to go with the $195 key. He said, some guys just do auto. Some guys just do commercial locks of one sort or another. Some guys just do homes, getting you back in your homes. He goes, some do everything. He goes, they're totally different. I was blown away. By the way, Free Willy's story was, the kid's name was William, and we had to free him from the car, right? This is the whole Free Willy story. I was really amazed. I got quite the education right on the spot, right? Just from meeting this guy. And I was thinking to myself, okay, 125 calls per metro area. I see how that one happened. And it was with a pretty new truck. I was really amazed about that. I can see how these things happen all over the place, People lock themselves out of their cars. They do it often far from home. Sometimes at a beach in the sunlight or at an office in the sunlight or something. They lock a pet in the car. She didn't have OnStar or anything. I did check, but she didn't. What else do I want to say? Some people lock themselves out of their office. Some people, the boss fires them and changes the lock. They get to work later and they're locked out and they call Locksmith to get them back in because they got stuff in the office. And so one call begets the second call. Maybe the husband comes home drunk too many times and the wife locks him out. She calls a locksmith to change the locks. He winds up calling a locksmith later in the day to get back in his house. So there's 2 more calls. Okay, I'm starting to understand how this goes. And then when you think that a hotel guy might call because he's evicting somebody, there's another one. But somebody may call because they have a new building up and they need new locks on every door, or they need to upgrade the locks on every door, right? And they're calling for bids. I was calling 5, and 2 or 3 were responsive instantly on their cell phones, right? Because they're traveling around, so they're communicating with you immediately by cell phone and looking up your address and everything right on the spot. And that's how that world is. It was just, who can you get to your door fastest, really, in our case, especially because we had a child in the back, but lots of cases are like that. I was blown away. I thought 125 calls like that in this metro area, okay, greater Seattle, I could believe that. If he's handling 10 a day and he's one guy, then, and he said everyone's like that. They're all like that. They're driving around full speed from job to job. I was thinking there have to be 12 locksmiths in the area, or 13. That would mean 120 to 130 calls a day, right? And probably around here a lot more. I was really floored. I understand now why this is such a lucrative market and why there's so much money to be made from here. So yeah, this is totally amazing. Now I want to just share some quick graph stuff with you so you get it, right? We built this directory. We put in 6,000 300 results. We've got listings for all these guys in all their different cities. So we understand how all this works. We built the whole thing. Now I want to show you something else that's neat. If you look at Stack Hunter, the summary stats for the Locksmith, right? I just want to show you what this means. Average daily first-time visitors, like 265 for what? Well, this week, okay? So this is just showing a chart for this week, right? Like 1.7 thousand daily page views on average for this week. Average daily unique visits is 305. That's unique visits. It's out of 266. You know, some guys return. Could be different reasons for that. But what if we switch this? What if it was instead this week? It's like, let's go further. What about the month? Okay, the month's kind of pretty similar. It's giving us pretty big numbers. Average daily first-time visits. This is probably the most important number here. You know, and you get 881, right? That means that this is the Stack Hunter's seeing hits from people it never saw before, okay? I do believe if you take this and add this, you get this, right? That's unique visits. So some guys come back. Stack Hunter saw these guys before, but not these guys per day. 881-ish on average are brand new people. How long has that been going on though, right? Like I said, this, by the way, is on 25% of their sites that we happen to have this kind of Stack Hunter coding, because they did lots of websites later that don't have our coding. What if we take this out further, right? What if we go to like this year, okay? There's some spikes for I don't know what reason, but even then, what do we got? Average daily first-time visits, 1.2 thousand per day that Stack Hunter never saw before. They came in for the first time. Let me show you one more. Okay, let's go all time. All data, period. All data. This is going to be the most revealing. I told you we did these 3 years ago. There it is. This is when we started. This is 2018, this is 2017, 2016. We haven't been in 2018 for very long yet, have we? So it's shorter. You can tell by the blue, probably the most revealing. What do we have? Virtually nothing at first. We were in the beginning stages of building these things in the first place and starting to do anything with them, right? Then what? We started to get some ground covered with them, and we started to get some chunk updates and stuff like that. Then what? Because it was over 2 years that we built for them. We went back through these sites and we did things like get rid of all the HTML errors and upgrade the page speed, maximize page speed and stuff like that. So literally they paid about 180 grand from here to here, okay, for us to do all that work, all right? Now, what was the payoff? Look at this, okay? They haven't touched this thing since what, a year and a half ago? About here. About the time we got done is when they were done. And then they moved on to getting leads from other sources on top of whatever their sites were doing. We got to this point and said, we can't think of anything new to do with your websites. And they said, all right, then we can't do anything new with our websites. And they moved on and said, where else are we going to get more leads from? And they opened the door. They started building their other systems and opened the door to bring other people in to get them leads. Well, I didn't know. Here's what it is for all the data for all time. Average daily. 840. Can you imagine 840 a day since? That's average, including 2015. Isn't that nuts? I mean, there was like next to no traffic in 2015. That's an averages including that. However long in 2015 that was, that the first hits hit. Okay, unbelievable. So I don't know what to tell you. If I were to go back like 2 years, I wonder if I can just do that. I wonder if I can say, you know, this is 3rd of, or what, 24 of May? I don't know what to say. Let's just say 24, you know, of May. I'm just trying, right? For 2016, right? I want to get 2 years. Yeah, there we go. 2 years of doing it the way we're going to do it instantly and have it done already. 1,100 daily first-time visitors. What if 1/10 of them call, right? What if that's like, you know, 110 calls? and they're picking up 50 bucks a day, you know? That's 5,500 a day. Their profit or their end from 25%. Okay? So that's 22,000 a day from our work. 22,000 a day for a year and a half. Sure, that justifies the 180 they spent up front for 2 years to make it live, to just grow to each next stage to make that thing happen. That, by the way, is how most big time players go with their websites. Everyone's like, build me a website, I want to make money. Okay, then we're going to keep investing and improving and investing and improving and seeing what we can do to improve and keep doing it to improve and keep doing it to improve. And you're going to keep paying and 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 getting paid very little until you're getting paid a lot. What's different now? We can blitz. And we know this industry and we've done this already. So we're just going to take off and go create it right the first time around. We know how. Because we did all this before. We benefited from the knowledge. What do you think it's like to do it the second time around? Absolute breeze compared, and especially raising the kinds of money that we're raising to kick this thing off with. We know how to do it, and we're going to have the funds to do it right. So you guys who we're crowdfunding this with, you know, this project here, this is awesome, and it sets the tone for expansion within this industry and how to get started with other industries doing this kind of dispatch thing. So yeah, it's websites, man. It's just like what we've been making for them forever. We're kicking it off. No, they will not be Bennett Locksmith when we're done. You know, I seem to own every industry, right? Bennett Locksmith, Bennett Roofing, Bennett Law, Bennett Plumbers, Bennett whatever. But yeah, whatever. That's just the dummy data on the global variables file, you know, until we get it replaced with real data, right? All these websites that are going up, we know how to do it. Okay. I don't know what to tell you. This is totally awesome. All right. So yeah, we just get people on these sites on their cell phones, and yeah, these sites are awesome on a cell phone. They all are. Okay. So on a cell phone, it would look, you know, something like that, right? And they can call, or they can text. Okay. Piece of cake. There's even a contact form, and they can do the contact us with the contact form. Totally fine. Except that we'll fix this, of course. This is when we're done. We'll just do it. Update the site key for the reCAPTCHA. That's easy. But there you go. All this stuff is simple to do, okay? And get them the leads and pick up the invoices. And they're not going to screw around with us at all, because once you grow this big, they don't want you to go away. They want you to stick around. Pay for performance and then hold on to the guys who perform. Do not let them out of your site and make sure that they are happy. And that's exactly what's going to happen with us. We're all going to benefit. Okay. It's been a lengthy update, but I hope you guys enjoy it. It's where we're going. So again, go to gettraleads.com, okay? Leads.com / LPE to sign up, okay? There will be a simple sign up form. Put in your stuff, your name, email, phone, country, address, city, state, and zip. Piece of cake, all right? And this is like state, province, territory, and country and everything. So put in whatever you got. Put in what you have to. We don't really care about anything except for what? Your email address especially, right? Because that's how we track uniquely through the whole system and track your expenses to know how much you put in. Now, once you sign up, it'll give you a password that you use with your email address to log in. So you're going to log in where? At admin. Okay, you're never going to come back to that LPE page. You already signed up, now you come here. Log in as an LPE owner with your email address and the password you got, okay, and log in. And that is where, matter of fact, let me put in my dummy one, right? No, I'm on the inside of the system. I don't need these for me. Okay. Now, when you get in, you're going to see anything that you may have gotten before, but go to LPE websites up here, LPE websites, okay? These are the ones that are available. Okay, we got 41 left that are here, and I know of, I think it's 6 more that people are just funding and buying real quick. So that's already going to be like what? 15? So, you know, closing in on a third, right? Just a couple of days, all right? These are going to go quick. Buy as many of them as you want. These are $1,000 positions, one-time payments to be in the group. And then as we get the payments coming out, it could well be $1,500 a month, you know, each position. So if you get 3 of these for $3,000, you could wind up making $4,500 a month pretty dang soon. That's the value. And the fact that you're on the inside as we continue to grow this, and you'll be the first guys we look for the dispatching jobs, for expanding that for the other things that we want to do, other industries. Okay, why not? Now, the rest of you GTO guys, we're going to blitz out all the co-ops and make it available for dispatching, and you're going to get your cut based on your total investment in the system, right? Because that's what you got in it for, and that's where this is going, oddly enough, but exactly awesome, because now we understand what we're doing and we get to own it and just keep making money on it, and we don't have to go land deals with thousands of guys across the nation. That's the beauty. Okay, I hope you found this totally valuable, and I hope that you get in and get some positions. These are going to go quicker than you expect. You know, people have been picking them up, others will continue to. Don't miss out. This is really a big deal. Okay, this is the first time that we know we can tie the system together for sure, because all the pieces are obvious to us. Okay, and we can do it, and we're funding it to make it happen. Be part of that growth. Okay, for those of you who are waiting on the sidelines, maybe you can't afford to get into it, then just wait. You know, we're going to get the rest of Get Trial Leads going. As we get this thing going, we're going to show that model to other dispatching centers for the other industries, and then we're going to tie them in. And then all you guys who got in, we've got all the numbers for all of you. We know how you guys are going to benefit. And we will wind up getting all of you guys covered in the act. Heck of a growth process. Long but valuable and worth it. Totally worth it. All right. Talk to you soon.